What's up, everybody? Once again, my name is Matt, and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. In the last episode, we entered the Sky Keep, went through all the basic rooms, and even defeated the mini-boss, which means all that's left for us to do is gather the 3 pieces of the Triforce. And that's exactly what I plan on doing in this episode. Sadly, though, it's not going to be that simple. There is a bit of preparation work that we need to do first because, if you remember correctly, the Triforce rooms aren't even connected to the rest of the temple right now, so we actually do need to go to a few different control panels and rearrange the temple completely before we can connect all the Triforce rooms together and make collecting all 3 pieces of the Triforce a lot easier. So this might not make a whole lot of sense at first, but I promise you guys, it'll all work out in the end. First things first though, let's use this control panel here, and all I want to do is move these 2 rooms to the left. Now, I understand that this just created a loop that I really can't get out of without rearranging the temple again, but that's totally fine because the reason I did this is, the room that is now in the bottom left corner of the temple has a control panel in it, and moving around the temple from a corner makes things a whole lot easier, so that's where I'm going to be doing a majority of my movements. Now, funny enough, the room that we're actually going back into is the very same room that we started out in, so yeah, you can see why this temple is pretty confusing. Like, now we're basically back where we started from, but we're also technically in a different spot within the temple itself. Anyways, here's where we're going to do all of our major movements. So here's the thing, some of the Triforce rooms can only be entered from one side. Like, for instance, the red Triforce room, which is for the Triforce of Power, can only be entered from the right side, so you gotta keep that in mind as you're sort of moving all of these rooms around. But the basic layout that you want to have is the green one above where we are now, then the red one in the top left corner, and the blue one to our right. Only problem is we now need to connect the green and red rooms by way of like these 90-degree sort of angled rooms, and shouldn't take us too long to find a working combination. These sort of puzzle-like things remind me of games I used to play at my grandma's house like all the time. They were pretty much this exact same thing because they were like smaller 3x3 puzzle grids that had a picture in them, and you had to basically, complete the picture by moving blocks around exactly like this. So I do have like some minor experience with, I guess, like puzzles like this, which does help, I guess, a little bit, but not so much. Anyways, with that, guys, that is the layout that we want to have. So yeah, pretty much everything is connected. There will be minimal backtracking, and I did want to show off that entire segment just so you guys like understand how you can go about moving things around in order to complete this sort of layout of the temple and make it easier to grab all of the Triforce pieces. Now that that is done, what do you say we get to it and go and collect our first piece of the Triforce? Of course, it's not going to be as easy as just like walking in and picking it up. Of course not. There is going to be some puzzles that we need to solve first. Master, look over that way. I have identified the design on the floor there as the Mark of Nehru. I detect the sacred power of the Triforce radiating from it. Unfortunately, the way leading to the mark is closed off. There appears to be a time shift orb over there. I propose you utilize the nearby time shift orb to open the path to the mark. Sounds like a good idea, Fi. So, yeah, not really like we had much of a choice because we desperately need those Triforce pieces. But as you guys can tell, this entire area is based off of the Lanayru Desert region, and oddly enough, like, this Triforce piece in particular is one of the easiest ones to collect, although that's kind of weird because Lanayru is like one of the last areas that you visit, so you would expect like this one of all pieces of the Triforce to be the hardest one to collect, but no, it's actually one of the easiest ones, and I believe this is actually for the Triforce of Wisdom, so that would typically be Zelda's piece of the Triforce, I guess you could say, but yeah, we're gonna collect that one first, and then I think we're gonna get Courage second and Power last. It's kind of weird how sort of the rooms for the Triforce pieces work, because Wisdom like makes sense. Like, we're solving puzzles to get the Triforce. Obviously it takes Wisdom to solve puzzles, but for Courage the trial or the room they have to go through doesn't really represent courage all that well, and the power room doesn't really represent power all that well, and I'll probably talk more about those once we actually get into those rooms. For now, though, let's focus on finishing up this puzzle. So now that we opened up that gate, we can grab the time shift orb and bring it right through this section, but we don't want to go all the way to the end because, yeah, there's these guys here, and they're super annoying. Wow, he was actually going after the time shift orb there. That was kind of weird. I don't really think these guys can eat them, so, yeah, kind of pointless on your part, dude. But, we don't want to bring this all the way to the end. About here should do it. If we bring it any farther, a sand pillar would pop up, and that would actually block what we're trying to do with this section, because, yeah, there's an eye switch all the way on the other side of the room, and we need to hit it by shooting an arrow through this little window here. And if we moved that time shift orb any closer, a giant sand pillar would have popped up and blocked our view from that window. So that's essentially it. Like, we're done with the puzzle in this room already. All we have to do is walk our way over to the mark and remove like one gate using the time shift orb, and we'll pretty much have the first piece of the Triforce already. So yeah, like I said, doesn't take too long to get this piece of the Triforce. And what's cool is that we are actually collecting all three pieces, and generally speaking, that doesn't really happen until like 30 seconds before the credit rolls in Zelda games, because normally Ganondorf has the Triforce of Power, Zelda has the Triforce of Wisdom, and Link has the Triforce of Courage, and then they sort of all meet at the end of the game, have that one final battle, and that's pretty much it. But no, in Skyward Sword, Link actually gets all three pieces right before anything happens. Master Link, you have reached the mark. Offer your sword to it. If you do this, I calculate a high probability that you'll be shown the way to a part of the Triforce. Alright, sounds cool, so let's ready our sword and thrust it into the seal. And yes, this does transport us into a Silent Realm type area, but there's no puzzles or trials. The Triforce is waiting right there for us to pick up, and with that, we've got the Triforce of Wisdom. The Triforce possesses ultimate power, and it is said to grant the wishes of whoever possesses it. Just 2 more pieces to go. Alright, I'm looking forward to it, so let's waste no more time and immediately start backtracking and making our way to the other 2 Triforce rooms. And I'm so glad we have the temple in its current layout, because now we can just very easily go from Triforce room to Triforce room to Triforce room with like minimal backtracking, minimal distractions, and we don't need to rearrange the temple whatsoever. And don't get me wrong, like, the mechanic of rearranging the temple is really cool, and I like the overall theme of the Skyview Temple, but I gotta say, I kind of find it more enjoyable when I don't need to, like, pause and move things around. Like, I think the concept is cool, but I also think it maybe could have been implemented a little bit, you know, simpler, because it is very confusing and it's very easy to get lost. Anyways, here is the next Triforce room. This one is for the Triforce of Courage, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, there's a locked door over there. Master, look over that way. The design carved into the floor there is the Mark of Faeror. I detect the sacred power of the Triforce emanating from its vicinity. To reach the area where that mark is located, I propose you pass through the door in front of you. Okay, will do. And this is exactly why we needed to go through pretty much every single one of the normal rooms, because we needed that small key. And yeah, if you don't get it, you will not be able to get this piece of the Triforce. So yeah, this is for the Triforce of Courage, and oh, that did not work out how it was supposed to whatsoever. I was supposed to land on the other side of that guy, so you know what, let's give that another go. But like I was saying, yeah, this is for the Triforce of Courage. Really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because it's basically just a giant enemy gauntlet. So for me, this one feels more like it would belong for the Triforce of Power and not the Triforce of Courage. But I suppose, like, you could say, yeah, it takes a lot of courage to go up against all these gigantic foes and take them out. But at this point in the game, we're so strong that they really don't stand a chance anyways. And oh my gosh, that was so unfortunate. Alright, whatever. At least, we don't take, like, any fall damage, and, we killed both those guys, so you know what? I will take it. But, yeah, to go back to what I was saying, I think this room and the room for the Triforce of Power should be sort of swapped, because I don't want to spoil it, but when we get to the room for the Triforce of Power, for myself personally, I think it would require more courage to go through that room more than, like, anything else, whereas in this room, I think it requires more, like, power. I mean, like I said before, you could say you need courage to go and face all these enemies, but I think it's more about brute force, because these guys are super easy to take out. Like, you know, one hit from your bow, one slash from your sword, they go down fairly quickly. Like, they're not really that scary whatsoever. But I guess that's just me. Anyway, so yeah, we're going after the Triforce of Courage, which is typically Link's piece of the Triforce. Unless, of course, you're playing Zelda 1, in which case the Triforce of Courage didn't even exist. It was only Wisdom and Power, and they still called it the Triforce for some reason. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, so typically Link would have the Triforce of Courage, like, throughout a majority of his journey, but, in this game, you know, you get it right at the very end. Although we do have the marks on our hand, for all three pieces of the Triforce, because those showed up, you know, when we went to temper our sword. It just wasn't that we had the physical piece of the Triforce itself, so it's kind of weird that the mark even showed up to begin with. But I guess that was more of like a symbol that we, completed the trials more than really anything else at that point. And holy moly, man, I actually took a lot of damage from those guys. Like, I was not expecting that. I guess I was playing a little careless, though, so I should probably pay a little more attention to what I'm actually doing, because now we gotta verse this guy. So remember the ancient cistern and the mini-boss from that temple? Well, guess what? He's back, or at least his friend is back. Like, I don't know, someone who looks very similar to him is back, so we gotta take this guy out. Thankfully, we do have the Master Sword, so he should go down a little bit quicker than when we fought him originally back in the ancient cistern. Also, if these other guys could maybe get, like, hit by his swords, that would be great as well. One cool thing about the Master Sword is because it is, like, the Blade of Evil's Bane, and it has, like, the power to, you know, vanquish demons or whatever, it actually can kill these undead Bakublins with just, like, normal sword strikes, because normally what you'd have to do is knock them down and then do the fatal blow, but I'm pretty sure that if we just hit them enough with the Master Sword, they'll go down like any other enemy, which is really nice. And also, I think the mini-boss himself, like, if he hits those undead Bakublins, or cursed Bakublins, rather, they'll die by his sword as well. So he can sort of help us out in this fight if he hits his own allies. And man, oh man, do I wish this arena was just a tad bigger. And oh no, get off me, dude. Now is not the time to be grabbing on me like crazy. You know, I just realized these guys are kind of like the redeads of this Zelda game, because Skyward Sword doesn't actually have redeads, does it? Now that I think about it, because I'm pretty sure the only, like, undead enemies are the Stalfos or these cursed Bakublins. Like, there's no actual redeads, which is kind of sad, because, you know, as much as everyone hates redeads, they're kind of a cool enemy. Like, you got to admit, you know, having just an undead enemy that screams and can freeze you in places, sure, it's infuriating, don't get me wrong, but it also is really cool. And let me go, man. Gosh dang it. Alright, whatever, not a big deal. I mean, he grabbed me at the worst possible time, but at least we got rid of the big guy. So long, friend. And, wow, there's actually one last cursed Bakublin left, and I actually do need to take him out, so come on, dude, just, really? That was it? I don't even get to do the fatal blow, he just dies? Man, that was so unsatisfying. Alright, whatever, at least we're done, so let's get out of here and, grab the second piece of the Triforce. That was kind of anticlimactic, but whatever, we're here, so let's ready our sword and enter the second Triforce realm, or whatever you want to call these weird little areas. And there it is, guys. With that, we've got the Triforce of Courage. Sweet. And guess what? There's only one more piece to go. And oh man, I'm getting so excited because, like I said in the last episode, once we grab that final piece of the Triforce, we're not going back to Skyloft. Like, the game is going to thrust us immediately into endgame territory, and I am so looking forward to that because it gets really, really interesting. Thankfully, we do have a little bit of backtracking, so I can use this time to sort of calm myself down, collect myself, and then we'll worry about getting the Triforce of Power. So, honestly, in my opinion, the Triforce of Courage room is probably the longest Triforce room in the Sky Keep, because although the Triforce of Power room is pretty long, it's not really, like, difficult or anything like that. It's really just got a lot of waiting involved in it, and if you take that waiting out, it's a super short room and super simple. But, it might take us longer to get through just because of all that waiting, but I think in terms of, like, actual content, the Triforce of Courage room is the longest of all the Triforce rooms, so we've basically already gotten, like, the hardest stuff out of the way, and now it's going to be, you know, easy street to get the Triforce of Power. So, what do you say we head through this door and go to the final Triforce room? Master, I have information for you. I detected a source of sacred power somewhere within this chamber. If you can find a way through the river of magma, I calculate a 60% chance you will arrive at one of the sources of sacred power. I recommend you press forward in search of the power present here. Alright, will do, Fi. So, yeah, that's why this room takes so long to get through. It's not because it's hard, it's because we're gonna be riding, like, small rocks in rivers of magma the entire time. And these things do not move quickly at all. Like, look how slow this thing is moving. I mean, sure, there are a couple of enemies that will fly and get in your way, but it's nothing that a single sword swing can't really take care of. And that's sort of why I think this room is better fitting to Courage, because think about the courage required to ride a floating rock down a river of magma. Pretty scary stuff, man. Anyways, also, yeah, pay attention because you will need to activate and deactivate various different lava flows as you're going through here, because these lava lakes are sort of separated by partitions, and if the lava is not flowing when we go to jump on the next rock, if the lava is, like, stagnant, it's just going to appear and then disappear after a short amount of time, and we'll end up falling into the lava, which will send us back quite a bit. Like, there's maybe one halfway checkpoint in this entire section, so you want to make sure you don't really screw up, otherwise you're going to waste a lot of time going back to where you were. And, yeah, make sure you turn off this lava flow, because, obviously, the rock that we're on currently would have driven us right into that, and that would have been really, really bad. But we should be safe for now, and eventually, this rock will take us to the halfway mark, and then we can create a shortcut. But, I mean, look how slow this thing is moving. Like, what am I even supposed to do right now? There is nothing else that I could possibly do. No puzzles that I could sort of, you know, solve ahead of time. I'm just sort of sitting here waiting for this slow rock to get to its destination just so I could jump onto a platform and then immediately go and jump on another one of these slow moving rocks. So, I don't know, man. Out of all the Triforce rooms, this one is the dumbest one. Like, it's just so boring. Alright, so let's go and make that shortcut, although we'll probably never use it, but at least now if we fall in the lava, we can just, like, start from this halfway point. But, I mean, you still don't want to fall into the lava because there is plenty of lava riding to go, guys, so don't you worry, and it doesn't get any faster, so hang on tight, guys. I know it's exciting. Just, stay off the edge of your seat, you know, sit down, relax, it's a-okay. We're gonna get through this together. Hopefully none of these cursed bats actually curse me. Alright, perfect. So we do actually need to do a little bit of action over here. There is a crystal switch that we want to hit because we need to reverse the current lava flow. So that's actually going to turn off the lava flow on the opposite side and turn it on the side that we're going to now. And we need to time this correctly, so hopefully that falls in and solidifies. That way I can make this jump, and now we're pretty much good to go. There's really only one other thing that we need to worry about, and that is this platform on the other side of this wall. So yeah, obviously there is a lava plume sort of pushing that up and down, and we just need to hope that by the time we get there it's in the down position. That way I can jump onto it, because if it's not, well, we're gonna be in for a rude awakening, I'll just say that much. So please, game, do not screw me over this time. Like, I really just want to jump on this platform smoothly. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Thank you so much, game. And now we can ride this one to the very top. there also is something neat we can collect up here. So if we launch our beetle into this little tiny hole, yeah, there's the silver rupees, so we can just get ourselves 100 rupees that we really don't need because there is nothing that I plan on buying between now and the end of the game, but hey, it's nice to have anyways. So yeah, you just want to hit this crystal switch one more time, that way you can undo the reversal of the lava flow and send it back down in that direction, because we're going to jump to another platform on that side. So you got to make sure the lava is flowing, and oh no, hopefully I timed this correctly. 1, 2, and please work. Alright, cool. We are solid then. So this platform will take us all the way to the end of this room, where we can find the final seal. Thank goodness. The only thing standing in our way are these two weird little lava enemies. So we'll just quickly take them out with some bows, and make sure you don't miss your platform, because that would stink as well. Like, could you imagine just like standing there and having the platform go right on by you and you're not on it? Like, I would just probably cry a little bit on the inside. But thankfully, we made it, so all we have to do is get around this corner. And once we see that claw shot target, we're in the clear, because guess what? Right on top of this little ledge is the symbol. But first, let's go and make that shortcut for safekeeping. Alright, and now, let's ready our sword and get the final piece of the Triforce. Here we are, guys, and directly in front of us is the final piece. Let's get the Triforce of Power. And with that, the Triforce is complete. With its power, you have the ability to make Zelda's wish of vanquishing demise a reality. Master, I believe at this juncture that a prayer is required. The ultimate goal we have traveled so far for is now within reach. Focus now, and wish with all your might for the destruction of demise. Master Link, I have news! I've confirmed that the Isle of the Goddess, which was formerly a part of Skyloft, has returned to the surface. Furthermore, I have detected the successful eradication of Demise. Your prayers to the Triforce have been heard. In light of these factors, the seal Zelda maintained through her age-long sleep is no longer necessary. My projections indicate she will wake momentarily. I advise you to make your way to the sealed temple as soon as possible. Good morning, Link. This is all very touching, really, but I'm afraid I have to cut this emotional moment short. It's best for everyone if you forget about your friend. The little goddess is mine now. My master may have perished in this age, but in the past he lives yet. I'm taking the girl back through that gate to help me revive the Demon King. You've been so adorably dogged in your quest to get in my way. As much as it has delighted me, I can no longer tolerate you nipping at my heels. Link. You know, boy, you've really pushed me too far. The moment I sweated and bled for is at hand. I don't even have the time to grind my heel into a worm like you. Not now. Stand down. You're in my way. And the sight of your appalling hair makes my gorge rise. You've done a fine job of spoiling my plans to revive the Demon King in this age, so I see no point in dawdling here. But the past, oh, the past, so full of possibilities. I shall resurrect him there with the divine soul of this golden-haired girl.